Hello everyone, Sick Boy Parsons here, your super sick movie addict. Today we're going to talk about Hostels and how a movie can definitely fall into the trap of being a little bit too... meh? Hostels is directed by Scott Cooper, the man responsible for Black Mass, Out of the Furnace, and... Crazy Heart. Got it. I really enjoyed both Black Mass and Out of the Furnace, especially Out of the Furnace. Christian Bale did a fantastic job in that movie. And between those two, Scott Cooper proved that he was a director that I was interested in following. So when Hostels came out and I saw that it was directed by him, I thought, you know what? Let's give it a try. Hostels stars Rosamund Pike, Rory Cochrane, and Christian Bale. The movie takes place in 1892 and is about a war chief who has to escort a group of Indians safely to freedom. But here's the catch, he doesn't like Indians. He's got quite a pile of bodies under his belt and he is not in favor of this mission. So, what do I say about Hostels? Hostels is a movie that really grabs you initially from the get-go. From the opening scene, you're like, holy shit, is this happening? They immediately start you out with something that's, you know, you don't see a lot in movies. By the end of this opening scene, you're kind of sitting in your seat thinking to yourself, this is going to be a really good movie. But don't be fooled because it has its problems. So the first act of the film is kind of introducing Christian Bale and who he is as a character in this film. He's this hardened war guy and he's had some bad experiences with Native Americans. He describes how the man who he is instructed to help get to his homeland is a notorious war monster, responsible for many killings and many wrongdoings and some crazy shit. And during these scenes, you realize that the writer and directors really want to pay attention to the characters. Lou, I'm giving a review. Stop meowing, please. So you know right away that this movie is going to be a character piece. And this just got me more excited. You know, the movie starts out with a bang and then reveals itself that it's not going to be just an action movie with lots of intense scenes. It's going to focus on its characters. So ideally, this is my kind of, ow, you fuck! So ideally, this is my kind of movie. The problem is that it leans on this aspect a little bit too much. Good character development is good, but it feels like the majority of the movie was focused on the emotional suffering of these characters rather than getting to know them. And you could argue that emotional suffering is enough insight into a character, but if this movie taught me one thing, it's that that is not the case. You need a bit more than just watching the suffering of others to understand them. And while this does work for the first third of the movie, you do eventually get to a point where you're thinking, alright, didn't we just watch him cry about this for the last half hour? That being said, the film provides a decent but nowhere near perfect counterbalance for all this by providing us with some pretty intense scenes. And it's not just a sense of intensity that gives us relief from the dull moments of the film, it's getting to see the complex relationship between the two warlords grow. And what's great about the way this is done is they don't force the understanding down your throat. It's a very carefully developed relationship and one that several other characters play a role in. And going back to the characters, they are all extremely believable. Nobody ever seems to do anything or say anything that seems out of place for them. The film is honest about who these people are, for better or worse, and that's awesome. It doesn't shy away from touchy subjects like violence or racism. These are flawed human beings and it shows. And this is helped by the fact that every single actor in the film completely nails it. And in my humble opinion, this may be one of Christian Bale's best performances ever. Another thing to note is that the cinematography is simply beautiful throughout this entire movie. If you end up being bored with the film, I promise you at the very least you'll get great cinematography out of this. You get some really, really unforgettable landscapes. And it just feels perfect for the time period that this film takes place in. So what's the verdict? Hostels is overall a very, very good movie. A little flawed, but very good. You get great characters and great performances, great scenery, great intense moments that will surely have you holding your face. However, the pacing is a bit off. You get long sequences of traveling and camping and the emotional pain of all these characters, and when something intense happens to shake that up, you wish it was a little bit more. I'm going to give Hostels a 7 out of 10. Guys, as always, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like it, and in the comments below, recommend movies for me to review, and I will review them. Also, tell me what you thought of Hostels. Was it a good movie? Was it a bad movie? Was it a farty movie? Thanks and have a good one. I really enjoyed both. He's this hardened war hero, kind of. He's farty, absolutely. that the director and the writer wanted to fart all over this camera.